Alex Poatan Pereira, a former kickboxing champion who didn't just step into the MMA cage but stormed it, bringing with him a power and precision that had already terrorized opponents in the ring. But this isn't just the story of a striker with a puncher's chance. This is the story of a man who stepped up when the UFC needed him the most. From his meteoric rise to his pivotal role in rescuing the UFC, Pereira has not only claimed his place among the elite, but has redefined what it means to be a true champion. UFC 295. The new undisputed heavyweight champion Jon Jones was set to face the undisputed, ever-deserving, #1 contender in the world, Stipe Miocic. But as if a sign from above, Jones injured his shoulder and had to be sidelined for at least 8 months. With the fight now off, the UFC needed a main event. In stepped Alex Pereira and Jiří Procházka, who were set to battle for the vacant light heavyweight title. For fans and pundits alike, this fight garnered a lot of interest as Jiří was a very unorthodox and dangerous striker, while Pereira on the other end is a cool-headed assassin who can kill you at any time with his left hook of death. I mean, just ask Sean Strickland.
The man touches you and you just die.
And as always, it was this left hook of death that would finish this fight and give Pereira his second division title in just 7 months since losing the middleweight title to his longtime rival Israel Adesanya, and make him just the 9th to ever become a 2-division champion, something his rival failed to do. With gold back around his waist, Pereira invited Adesanya to move up and face him for a new set of gold. But unfortunately, this fight never came to fruition and Pereira had to look elsewhere for his next challenge.
Hey Adesanya, come true daddy.
This brings us to UFC 300, a milestone event that promised to not only be the best card we've ever seen, but also the most stacked, with 12 current and former champions competing on this historic event. However, this event didn't come without its own problems. But an event this stacked and historic, it needed a blockbuster main event that would carry the prestige of the special occasion. But the UFC had a problem. Many of their biggest stars were unavailable. Islam Makhachev, he was out because of Ramadan. Sean O'Malley, he was fighting on UFC 299. Dricus du Plessis, he was still recovering from his war with Strickland 2 months before. With little to no options on the table, what were the UFC going to do? Well, once again, in steps Poatan. The light heavyweight champion stepped up to face Jamal Hill on the brightest stage of them all. With Pereira initially supposed to fight on UFC 301, which was taking place in Brazil, but more on that later. Pereira now got pulled in to carry the weight of this historic card on his shoulders, and while fans were not very enthusiastic about the main event, the build-up was especially entertaining. Hill, who felt like the fans were disrespecting and counting out, made this fight especially personal when he brought out the bloodied stone face to the press conference, with many finding this especially disrespectful to Pereira, who takes great pride in his heritage.
Just getting acquainted with the visual that I plan on seeing on Saturday night.
While this was funny in the moment, some might say that he added fuel to an already dangerous fire known as Alex Pereira. Come fight night, and as promised, the event was living up to its hype, with Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje putting on a classic that would end in the greatest knockout of all time. It was now time for the main event, and many wondered if he could live up to what we've just seen. But as always, Pereira showed up and delivered.
Stop! Continue.
Please, get out of here.
After waving the ref away for a low blow, Pereira gave Jamal Hill a taste of death with his brutal left fist. And to add salt to the wound, he would not only celebrate but essentially emote on the fallen corpse of his challenger, a side of Pereira we haven't seen before. With his title defended, this absolute savage said that he wanted to fight in 1 month at UFC 301 against not just anyone, but a heavyweight. And while with many fighters you could say that they are all just talk, Pereira is the type of guy who really would fight again in 1 month regardless of the division. But it was not meant to be. With his spectacular performance, many believed that the light heavyweight king would now take a well-deserved break as he had done more than enough to earn it. But Pereira is not the type of man who can simply sit on the sidelines for too long. With the UFC's biggest ever event now over, fans focused their attention to UFC 303, where the notorious Conor McGregor would finally make his long-awaited return against the ever-exciting Michael Chandler. But fate intertwined once more as McGregor would go on to break his toe and the fight would be cancelled.
McGregor's fight with Michael Chandler has been cancelled after McGregor suffered an injury while training.
With the fight now cancelled, the UFC needed a main event on short notice. And you might ask, how short? Well, the official announcement that Conor had to pull out released on the 13th of June, and UFC 303 was set to take place on Saturday, the 29th of June. With little over 2 weeks till the fight, what could the UFC even do?
Agora rapidinho, vou atender isso aí. Cê é foda, hein? Hã? Chama ou não chama?
For most fighters, this would be a big decision where they would need to discuss with their team and coaches. But for Poatan, there's no need. Give him a fight and he's always ready to take it. Pereira was on a holiday in Australia with his team when he got the call, and with no hesitation he took the fight with little over 2 weeks to cut weight, train and plan for his next title defense. But while a lot of props go to Poatan, we can't forget the man who chose to step in and face such a dangerous champion on short notice. Re-enter Jiří Procházka. Now you might be asking, why Jiří? He just fought for the title, didn't he? Well, yes, but Jiří was the perfect opponent. He not only also fought at UFC 300, but many fans believe that their last bout was an early stoppage and that Jiří got hard done by, thus making the perfect matchup. Both on short notice and both having something to prove. For Jiří, that the last fight was an early stoppage, and for Pereira, that he finished the fight fairly. Come fight night, and once again the intensity from these two titans stare down could be felt throughout the arena. With the sound of the bell, the fight was on and we were ready for a war. But what we got was a one-sided beating. At the end of round 1, Poatan dropped Procházka with his signature hook, but he was luckily saved by the bell. And while it's true that he got some time to catch his breath and recover, Pereira already smelled blood, and as soon as the bell rang for the second round, the fight was already over. Pereira landed a beautiful head kick that would not only see him retain his title, but also put the rest of the UFC on notice. With that, Alex Pereira had retained his title, and now his 2024 had come to an end, and he can finally get the rest he deserves.
For UFC 307, the main event, Alex Pereira will look to defend his light heavyweight belt against Khalil Roundtree.
This absolute warrior is not only fighting yet again, but once again coming to the UFC's rescue when they need him the most. Pereira will take on Khalil Roundtree in his third title defense on the 5th of October, showing everyone what it means to be a fighting champion. I'm looking at you, Ilya and Islam. With Poatan now fighting for the 4th time in under 12 months, he is quickly becoming not only the UFC's savior, but also the face of the company and arguably the UFC's biggest star since his rival Israel Adesanya without speaking any English. Pereira is proving time and time again that he wants that smoke, with him even showing interest in becoming the first ever 3-division champion and setting his eyes on the heavyweight belt. But that doesn't mean that he has totally left middleweight where he initially claimed glory. He recently expressed interest in fighting the current middleweight champion and king of Africa, Dricus du Plessis. But with Dricus fighting Strickland next and Jones running away from Aspinall, who knows what's next for Poatan after he faces Khalil Roundtree. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then you will love this documentary on Tony El Kakui Ferguson. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more MMA content. Chama no chama.